Hello, everyone. My name is Bettina Stix, and I'm the Director for Disaster Relief and Right Now Needs at Amazon. At Amazon, we seek to eliminate barriers to meeting right now needs of children and families, and we partner with organizations who share our commitment. To increase access to food and basic goods, for example, we launched community delivery, and we partner with food banks and organizations to deliver prepackaged meals free of charge directly to the doorstep of people that need them. Today, I'm so excited to be joined by C.D. Glynn, Vice President of PepsiCo, of the PepsiCo Foundation and Global Head of Philanthropy at PepsiCo, and Pamela Taylor, the Chief Communications and Marketing Officer at No Kid Hungry. Today, during our panel discussion, we will explore how COVID-19 has amplified food insecurity. Through our conversations today, we will seek to understand how we can work together in creative ways to meet challenges of providing healthy food where it is needed the most. Let us start our panel. First question I want to ask is, tell us what you learned during the pandemic and how are you applying those learnings to create more sustainable food systems moving forward? Pamela, let's start with you.
Oh, great. Thank you. So, the pandemic was an economic crisis and a healthcare crisis all at the same time. And everyone was like, what do we do with this? Families were facing economic hardship. They were facing, poverty-like situations and health situations, and all of this for many families for the first time in their lives in some instances. And so we needed to figure out, how do we make sure kids are getting the food that they need every single day? When schools closed, kids were not in the classrooms, kids were not in the building, and food was not there for them. Schools had to figure out, how do we get everything we need so that we can deliver food to kids at home? So organizations like ours, private corporations, and the government all came together to make sure the things that needed to happen could happen. So let's start with what happened at the federal government level. The federal government had to lift some restrictions that were in place for food delivery for kids. USDA had requirements that food could only be consumed while on campus. That was not going to happen. The private sector wanted to step in and say, how can we help make sure nonprofit organizations, food banks, and other feeding institutions had the resources that they need? And then the nonprofits worked with all of those organizations to make sure the word got out and all of the things that had to happen. So school buses became delivery vehicles. We provided, grants for schools to buy coolers and heaters and refrigerators and all of these things that would allow them to transport food to kids at home. So what did we learn from all of that? The federal government did things that helped families by lifting the waivers, by increasing SNAP benefits, by putting together pandemic EBT, which allowed parents to have extra funds that they needed to replace the meals that kids weren't getting at school. All of those things together made us realize these should be permanent. These should not be just pandemic specific. We should be able to support schools in unique ways for innovative solutions in the future, not just for this 1 year. So that was just one example of some of the things that we were able to do. And what we saw that worked, we want to...
Let's move just because the panel is so short. I also
yeah, for sure.
And get a word in and just hear what CD has to say to that topic. Like maybe give us quickly your learnings, and then we'll jump to the next question.
No, great. Thank you. Thank you for having me here today. It's a really pleasure to be on this panel with two critical partners in the food space, Amazon and No Kid Hungry. And I just want to be clear, as America's largest food and beverage company, agriculture is at the heart of what we do, and we're committed to sustainable food systems. But the pandemic, long before the pandemic, PepsiCo was working to improve nutritious food for children in communities where we live and work. We launched a Food for Good social enterprise nearly a decade ago to deliver nutritious meals to kids across the country, specifically when kids are not in the classroom, including after school, summer, weekends, and holidays, and during emergency school closures, much like we saw last year on an unprecedented level. And one of the most important things that we've learned in this pandemic is that the systems and infrastructure to ensure that people have daily access to nutritious food are not in place. The Foundation's Food for Good initiative had to pivot and adjust how we source, pack, and deliver meals to kids away from the classroom while still abiding by social distancing measures. So along with Baylor, USDA, and others, PepsiCo helped deliver nutritious meals to children displaced by school closures in rural communities throughout the country. We were able to deliver shelf-stable meals in bulk directly to children's front doorsteps. This delivery method was tailored to rural families whose remote access made it even more difficult to distribute meals in more traditional methods like grab-and-go lines. For example, in Alaska, we even use drones, and you'll appreciate this coming from Amazon, we even use drones to deliver meals to kids who were miles from the nearest road. So, we also partnered with Pamela and No Kid Hungry to get emergency meals to kids in South Dakota. A South Dakota post office reported receiving more Food for Good PepsiCo meal packages than the number of packages they received during the Christmas season. So we just want to make it clear that if it weren't for the pandemic, to some extent, we may have never innovated upon or shifted our longstanding approach. And now that we have, we're doubling down on these capabilities and learnings and scaling what worked globally. We're using our 200 plus countries and territories where we operate to really scale our efforts and truly to have turned an opportunity out of the chaotic situation that we all saw with the pandemic. Never let a good crisis go to waste. We actually doubled down and are doing more than ever.
I remember that we said exactly the same thing in the panel in July. Never let a good crisis go to waste.
Or a bad crisis, right?
Oh, yeah, good. Well, or bad crisis. It's really interesting to hear, like, we had different scenarios. I heard axes. I heard a lot of, solving problems in a different way, innovating, and taking this to another level. Like transportation and logistics became really important. And maybe just quickly, starting with you, CD, we can talk about the supply chain issues and how you really have, how they affected you and then how you overcame them maybe.
The supply chain crisis is exponentially impacting organizations across the globe. But one of the things that's really interesting is that PepsiCo owns a large portion of our supply chain, and we've been able to leverage that with our Food for Good social enterprise and really still keep delivering meals to kids. So we have our own fleet of trucks, and we're able to mitigate and solve transportation issues, not only for ourselves, but for our partners by moving product and delivering meals to a large numbers of sites. So we actually have leveraged this capability in ways that we had never imagined. And it's also been an employment driver. We've created over 200 jobs in communities during this time. We're able to sort of leverage the talents of associates to make some of these deliveries. So it has been real challenges, but we, again, taking that glass half full approach and really using our capabilities to do more. We also, as a food and beverage company with a robust vendor network, we're able to source products that are fresh, frozen, and most importantly right now, shelf stable. So while we're still providing heating and refrigeration technology to our partners, we've ramped up our shelf stable meal production. And that flexibility is really important because these shelf stable products can live on the shelf for 4 to 6 months. So it's no need to prep them in kitchens or help with the staffing shortages that a lot of partners are facing. So there have been real challenges, but we've used our capabilities. We're here to help. We've sourced different materials. We're shipping meals, we're trying to do what we can, providing nutrition, and we want to work with other organizations to develop custom solutions. So, I just say, please reach out, leverage us as we're leveraging.
We will. I think there's lots of ways to work together. I want to go back to Pamela real quick. And I know that you've been a great advocate for pandemic EBT and kind of giving people the opportunity to just figure out how to get their food themselves and not relying on food assistance programs. But tell us, like, has the supply chain affected anything that you guys been doing as well?
Well, we focus so much of our energy and efforts on schools because that's where kids are. And this September, we were so excited, like everyone else, that schools were opening and kids were going to go back to getting breakfast and lunch and after school snacks. And then all of a sudden, the supply chain shortage happened. Mm-hmm. And the next thing you know, schools were waiting on trucks to show up. They weren't sure what was going to be on them. They were missing basic things like napkins and utensils and plastic sporks and the cardboard trays that they serve the meals on. Teachers will not let their children go hungry. They are going to big box stores. They're going to local grocery retailers. What school teachers and administrators are doing to make sure that no kid goes hungry has been nothing short of remarkable. And what we've been helping them do is to make sure they've got the resources to do that. No one budgeted for this, right? No one budgeted for last year. We thought we were in the clear. No one has budgeted for this. So again, No Kid Hungry is helping schools to get those extra resources they need so that when they need to fill in some gaps, when they need to fill in some nutritional needs for kids to make sure meals are served, we're able to help them do that.
Thank you, Pamela. And we're coming to our last questions, and I give every one of you about 1.5 minutes before I wrap up. So Pamela, let's go again with you. What does the future hold? How can we continue to innovate together to solve food insecurity?
So one of the things that we know is what we learned during the pandemic, how to be innovative, how to be creative, how to make sure kids are getting access to foods every day. We're going to continue moving forward with like breakfast before the bell, breakfast in the classroom, working with community-based organizations so that they have the technical assistance and the resources they need to provide those after-school meals, those weekend meals. Our goal is to make sure every kid in every community gets 3 meals a day, 365 days a year.
Thank you. CD.
No, great. So over the past year, PepsiCo has accelerated our efforts to help make food systems more sustainable, regenerative, and inclusive. We recently launched our most ambitious effort yet by embracing a bold new approach called PepsiCo Positive, a strategic end-to-end transformation with sustainability at the center of how we will create growth and value by operating within planetary boundaries and inspiring positive change for planet and people. And it starts with us by becoming better ourselves. We'll not only meet the needs of stakeholders and position ourselves for long-term growth, we can also help build a stronger, more sustainable future for all of us. We're focused on building a positive value chain in how we make and move our products and increasing positive choices, providing people with diverse product portfolio of products, specifically with increased access to nutrition. So, you know, in the end, we are literally talking about food for good. We're saying food good for food forever. We're talking about food that's beneficial to our communities. We have some of the most innovative and passionate people in the country joining in this conference here today. And it's really important that we gather together at the table with our collective strengths to build lasting solutions and create opportunities that nourish minds and feed potential. So together we can make this change. We can provide food for good. And I'm just here to say, hey, let's do more together. Let's join forces.
Yeah, I can't wait to partner with both of your organizations in the future again. You know, like for Amazon, access to food, making sure families are fed every day, sustainability, you know, innovating together. All of these are really, really important things for us. And may I add that at Amazon, you know, we are known for the convenience of shopping. So I want to add also dignity and convenience for those that are, you know, that suffer from from not knowing where the next meal comes from is something that's really dear and close to our heart. And I hope we can continue keeping the dialogue going between our teams and maybe other teams as well that want to innovate with us together.
No, I couldn't agree more. And I would say, you know, there are companies, a lot of organizations are looking at the Zero Hunger Pledge. And so PepsiCo has signed onto that with $100 million contribution. We're trying to walk the talk and talk the walk. So it takes both. And No Kid Hungry, what they're doing, their work with Amazon, but we're just it's a rallying cry. This is the moment where we're all asked to step up, Bettina and Pamela, and I'm glad to be on this journey with you guys together.
I couldn't agree more, CD. And the work that we're doing would not be possible without the incredible support of Amazon, PepsiCo Foundation, as well as so many corporations that showed up last year out of nowhere to say, how can we be helpful? Public-private partnerships are critical to making sure every kid gets fed every single day.
I love it.
Thank you to both of you. It was such a pleasure talking to you. Back to the Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you.